welcome to another episode of the Film Breakdown with CNC. And today we got Creed 3.
Yeah, taking a little bit of a break from our usual foray into crazy cinema to give you something that actually came out recently and is a little bit more accessible to wider audiences, I think.
We can do Hollywood too.
Yeah. We like these movies too. We don't need to traumatize ourselves.
We're not snobby, you know.
to get entertainment value out of it.
Yeah, so let them know. Let them know about Creed.
So, Creed 3 is the third film in the Creed franchise, and in the Rocky universe as a whole, it's the 9th film, which is absolutely crazy now that I think about it. Adonis Creed is retired. He had a very successful boxing career, and then an old friend, Damien, comes out of prison to come and meet him, and he has ambitions of his own to make it big in the boxing world, and this slowly brings them to a clash.
Out of all three Creeds, this has to be my favorite.
It's definitely in contention. I mean, I still love that first Creed, probably the most out of the three. But I think, in particular, the rivalry that you have between Adonis and Damien, when you have two extremely charismatic actors like Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, who are charismatic and super jacked and super intense.
It was insane.
And they got great chemistry. Every scene between the two of them is highly, highly watchable.
The physiques of these two was like Goku and Vegeta. Like it was insane. I think that's what he was going for, Michael B. Jordan, right? Because he said he took a lot of inspirations from anime. When you watch this, you really can feel like that Goku Vegeta rivalry.
That's probably not all he took. I hope these guys weren't getting drug tested.
yeah, that's true. But the physiques, everything. I think this one was better paced than the last one.
It definitely has the moments in between. Like you feel the rivalry building up quite well.
Yeah.
There were certain aspects of the second one where you do feel that long lull. I probably found them a little bit more satisfying than you did because in the second one you did kind of have to build up Ivan Drago's son because he was kind of just living out in the middle of nowhere.
You're building more of
they didn't have that
the
personal connection.
Yeah, they're giving you more about pretty much who he's fighting in the second one, right? You're like, Drago's not just a villain, right? He's kind of like misunderstood if you think about it, where he has his own issues as well. He's not just there to smash, right?
But at the same time, he's not as much of a character as Damien is in this film. I think that personal connection really enhances the intensity of the lead up to the climax and then the climax as a whole.
And in the second one, I think Adonis he's now starting a family, right? I think that's when his first kid is, about to be born, right? So he's kind of juggling, his professional life, right, as well as his more of his personal life, right? And I think that's where the second one, it feels like it drags on the first half, is because it's dealing with more of that aspect of his life. Where that's why in Creed 3, I think it's better paced, is because it's able to go into boxing and then to
better interwoven
the conflicts, and then back to boxing and then back to conflict, right? We're kind of getting everything. It's very dynamic, and then there's never ever a moment where I was like, I was kind of like bored. I would say I was always just locked in. Every scene is like, where are we going with this? It's like, it's amazing.
This one, it did feel a little bit more intimate in its conflict. With Creed 2, it felt like the boxing world as a whole was kind of in on it. Like, this is the great rivalry between the guy whose son, whose dad was just this invincible beast that killed the father of this other guy. So it wasn't quite as intimate as this one. So I guess it's a bit kind of preference, because for me, I think these two films are quite even. Personal preference more than anything.
Let's talk about the choreography.
Yeah, we have to.
How wild was that?
Yeah, you definitely have the least realistic boxing scenes of the trilogy in this one, but that does not necessarily mean they're bad. If anything, they are even more exciting. Because
you definitely saw the influence,
a very clear anime influence.
Yeah, you really saw that, especially in the first scene where it was really inspired from like Hajime no Ippo, which is like the best boxing anime, right, of all time. And then you go in and throughout the other boxing scenes, you're seeing scenes from like Dragon Ball or like Naruto, right? You're seeing a lot of these like
Even the poster from Naruto
Yeah.
in his childhood bedroom.
yeah, like some of like the it's a bit over the top, but it's not too over the top, right? And I think that's because anime is like so expressive, right? You can really see in the final fight, the final match, right? You really saw how kind of like how like theater it was. With
Yeah,
the
it
match,
takes
right?
some creative liberties with the setting of it.
Like-
Particularly kind of in the middle where it really just wants to hone in on these two fighters, that it's just a brutal battle of wills.
Yeah, my favorite part of the final fight is like when they're fighting each other in that one round, and it's like everything goes quiet, and it's just them in the ring, right? And they're kind of like battling each other, and it's just them. You can really feel like that intensity, where it's like brotherly like fight, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right, when you see it.
It highlights as well just how excellent of a villain Damien is, because he's not only in all of those scenes just really intense and feels like he could take out Adonis at any time, but it's also really compelling when you can see that he clearly thinks he is the protagonist of this film.
Yeah.
And there are certain ways you can look at it, and I think that he's justified. I mean, he had his potential boxing career robbed from him because
I was
of
biased, man.
a
I was rooting for Jonathan
misunderstanding.
Majors.
There you go. There you go.
I wanted to see him go.
It's kind of a similar parallel with Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther, actually.
That was the same thing. That was my king.
Yeah, he had a fair point. He had a lot of fair points.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like was I don't think it was realistic in the way the matchup happened. You know how like they were just like, you know what, we're gonna get this dude that just got out of prison and just started training to fight
No professional bouts.
the belt holder,
Yeah.
like, the contender, right? It's like Tyson Fury, and he's like his opponent just managed, just all of a sudden he got injured, and then Jake Paul is in.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight Jake Paul. You know what it is? Jake, it's like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's just not gonna come in and just start fighting Fury
There'd
for
be
the
about
belts.
20 other guys ahead of him
Yeah.
in line.
Right, he had like no sponsor. He came in and it was just like, well, he got the job done, but he did it dirty. But yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I didn't like about it, was like how they just kind of threw him in there.
Yeah,
How,
and
like-
I think in general, you're not necessarily going to get anything that's super innovative. You can kind of see where the movie is going. There's certain beats that you expect it to hit, and it does hit those beats. But I think they're nonetheless extremely satisfying if you are into films like this.
They debuted direction too for Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, great job. Really confident in
Yeah.
what he did, and I think he deviated a
His-
lot from the style of the first two Creed films.
His
and it paid
style,
off.
kind of, it really reminds me of Zack Snyder, like that. Watchmen. That's what it was. I think it's just maybe the colors,
Certain lighting
the
choices,
slow mo, and it's very dynamic and
A lot
the
of
slow
contrast.
motion. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like a lot of like when they're walking out, like you can feel the intensity, but the way the camera pans around, like there's that one shot where Michael B. Jordan is the first match, right? The first fight, I would say, where it's slow mo, right? And he's dodging the punch, and you can see his eyes look to target his punch, and he kind of goes in, and it goes fast and slow to the
Yeah.
body, right? It's
Some good editing tricks. in there.
yeah, that type of shot was just it was beautiful, right? Another one is like in the locker room where they're both standing side by side, and the wall is in between them, right? And Michael B. Jordan's in the shadow looking towards Damien. Damien is in the light.
But you feel them like
looking-
they have X-ray vision, like
yeah, you can
eyeing down
feel
each
it.
other.
It's like yeah, and that's why I meant where it's like it reminds me of like Goku and like Vegeta. You know when they're walking towards Frieza, right? And they're both just looking at each other, right? Where it's kind of like that. You can feel that. Yeah.
a lot of really deliberate and expressive camera shots. It shows that he had a vision for this.
Yeah, but overall, his direction is great for his first time. I'd say he's a better Zack Snyder.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what he does in future films for sure. Yeah, I think it's a very confident film overall. If you are into sports films, you will enjoy this film. My rating for this, I'm giving it very enthusiastic 4 to 5 stars.
I gave it a 4 and a heart. It's up there.
4.5.
Four
There
and
you
a
go.
heart. I love it. I mean, you can't hate on a movie that makes you want to work out at 11 p.m. at night.
I was jacked up.
Yeah.
It was hard to get to sleep.
Yeah, it was hard to
afterwards.
get to sleep, and then you sleep, and then you wake up, and you're like, that movie was badass. I'm going for a run, right? Like you went to jiu-jitsu right after, right? You did some rounds. It's just like that. You're just like, man, the movie did its job.
It inspires you to be a better version of
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, and you're never bored watching it throughout. It's an amazing movie from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. I think that concludes this episode.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching.
Like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See you.